What is up, everybody? I am your boogeyman. I am here to do whatever I can. More specifically, give you the focus point of the week here at Title Boxing Club in Pittsburgh. Now, unfortunately, last week, our beloved Buffalo Bills lost a heartbreaking playoff game in overtime, got eliminated. The next day, they fired their coach. Now, I'm not particularly happy about either of those things, particularly the former, but I do hope in their search for a new coach, they can find somebody who can instill the 2 Ds, what I call D&D. No, it's not Dungeons and Dragons. It's defense and discipline. Those are 2 things I believe the Bills sorely lack. Discipline on defense as well. And in fact, we do that in boxing too. So this week, we'll be working on the 2 Ds, discipline and defense. So when we talk about head movement, defense in particular, this is something a lot of people struggle with. What we want to do is make it better, not just the fundamental, what they are, but little things, those little things that make it even better. They will also make your workout better. So let's start with the slip. What is a slip, right? We're moving our head off the center line. I'm not moving my head independently. I'm turning my hips and shoulders a little bit. Now, I need to get my head off the center line, so I can't just go like this. That is not a slip. I'd still get hit in the face. The idea is I need to dodge something coming at me. So I do want to turn just a little bit, just so that thing goes whizzing past my head. That's ultimately what I want. What I don't want also is to bend. A lot of times people kind of put together slips and rolls. You don't do this. This is not, that's too much. It's too much of a slip. You'll never get a good counter off of that. And a lot of times people bend back somehow. They lean back like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix. Now, there are times you got to do that because you don't want to get hit. But ultimately, what you want in a slip is to put your weight on the other foot. Just like throwing a punch, we're shifting our weight from one foot to the other. Speaking of throwing a punch, a counter punch, when we slip, we're going to always counter on that same side, at least by default. And what we don't want to slip and then come back and then throw the punch. We want to slip and then throw the punch as we come back. Because, of course, the neat thing about boxing is slips and rolls load the counterpunch. Speaking of rolls, let's talk about that. A roll is a duck. You're ducking down and then you're turning at the bottom. What a lot of people do, what I've done, it's very easy to do, is the 80s dance when they roll. So you kind of use your hands to help you as you do. This makes sense from a balance perspective. Plus, it's just kind of fun to dance like that, even if you're just dancing in the dark. But anyway, don't do that when we box. You actually want to keep your hands up. And again, it's the little things. The little things, that discipline. Not only will that keep you protected, but it'll also make it quicker on the counter that we talked about before with the slip. You're able to counter right away. So try to keep your hands up. Now, if you feel like you need to do this for balance, there's some other issues, and we want to work on those. In fact, speaking of balance, if you feel off balance when you do any of this stuff, please, 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 this is the week to tell me about it. Tell us about it. Tell Steph about it. Tell me about it. Say, hey, I'm off balance when I do this. When you're off balance, that's not a good thing. So I want to make sure we're not leaning with our head. A lot of times when people will roll, they'll bring their head kind of what I call over their feet. So you can't see my feet, but straight to the ground, I'm past my feet. When I do this, I'm off balance. I can try to bring myself back on, but it's going to take too long and I'm going to feel clunky. I want to stay tight when I roll. So this is kind of a weird thing, but imagine I've got laser beams coming out of the side of my shoes, coming straight up in the air. I want to stay within those laser beam goalposts, right? So make sure when you roll that we are ducking first too. That is another key. If I throw a punch, I don't want to do this to roll. I want to drop first and then come around. That part is key, because if you do this and you try to duck under a punch, you will get decapitated, or at least hit very hard in the head. We certainly don't want that. The pulling back. Now, generally, remember, with slips and rolls, we don't want to be leaning back. You don't want to be really leaning forward either much anyway. It's about shifting your lower body weight. When you pull, you will lean your head back, but you still will shift your lower body weight. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing my weight from my front foot to my back foot. I'm turning and twisting. This time I am getting my head back, but I'm kind of bringing my shoulder up so that I could potentially block a punch if I had to, maybe that was aimed at the face. So when we pull, we do bring our head back. We put our lead hand down to protect our body and also so we don't get punched in our face. And then we come back with a strong rear hand. Now you should feel like on a pull or a slip or a roll that whatever counter punch you throw, it's more powerful because you did that. That's part of the magic of boxing and head movement. But defense is not just head movement only. In fact, You may not think of footwork as defense, but it could be the best defense. So if I throw some punches and then my opponent's gonna punch me back, I step out of range, they can't punch me. That's kind of nice. A lot of times though, again, there's footwork discipline where people do not get out of range. So if I step in and throw a jab cross and I step back, I can't throw the jab cross. I should not be able to hit the bag. A lot of times people will take either tiny steps or they'll only step 1 foot and they can still hit the bag when they step out. If you can still hit the bag, then it's not good defense because you're still in range. Now I know some of the bags are up against the wall. You can always stand diagonally like I am, so you have plenty of space to step in and out. And it's just 1 step, but it's a big step. I'll move back further so you can see my feet, hopefully not run into the pole. So if I'm stepping forward, my front foot's gonna step, my back foot's gonna fall, back, front. I always come back to the fighting stance. We don't wanna see any of this, my feet together when I step back. Stay in your fighting stance. It's the little things. It's the little things that are gonna make you better. We're gonna work on those little things. Hopefully the Bills are gonna work on those little things and come back and win next year. The other thing too to remember, just like I said, every punch we shift weight from 1 foot to the other. Every defensive move we do too. So there's synergy there, and we like that synergy. In fact, that is how we do it! Defensive discipline!